which can identify how far you can use the monotony in your job. How about task switching? What? It was never a skill 5 years ago, but today people are getting evaluated in certain skills like that. Endurance, goal orientation. So I think we can go on talking about how many products we have, how many offerings we have in artificial intelligence that can make us really smart and to reach to the right talent pool as soon as we want.
Great, great. So, like a lot of new things are coming up on this, and so with relation to the last question which I had, can you share some like how automation in the recruitment process aids in reducing cognitive bias or different kind of biases, and also in the meantime also helps in enhancing diversity?
See, diversity and biases, okay, right? Especially when you talk about a function like recruitment, trust me, it's not easy to eliminate it 100%. The reason being that even if you use artificial intelligence, the algorithms are created by humans. So the access to the data we have and what we are creating,
Hmm.
the the algorithms that are created in artificial intelligence are also fed in by a
Hmm.
human. So I personally believe that they don't guarantee a solution, but yeah, definitely it can help in eliminating a lot of unconscious bias that we have. It's funny, they say that the most biased person is a person who has never left his country. But yeah, that's how people talk about biases, right? So you stay with one country, then they say you're a biased person. But it is true that the algorithm of artificial intelligence can focus particularly and exclude in identifying some of the triggers of unconscious bias, something like a gender,
Yeah,
name, education,
yeah.
age, right? We always
Background,
believe that age,
what
right?
background is coming from? Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So now we call this something as a blind evaluation, where the system and artificially intelligent platform does a skill evaluation of the person so that some of these finer triggers, what we say, like gender, name, age, ethnicity, and all, are masked, and then we get a pure merited candidates when it comes to screening.
Hmm.
Additionally, what happens that artificial intelligence enables us to make decisions that reflect objective data. Now, what it means that we look at data points objectively, not subjectively, right? Instead of untested assumptions, which comes with an individual's background. So if I come from a particular place in a country, I'm always biased to select somebody if I see the same city of origin, if I see the same age group, or if I see the same gender. So I think the untested assumptions can be eliminated by artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
and it can also alert the people, which is very important, right? When you're as a recruiter looking at something, it can alert their cognitive blind spot, which is again an important aspect. So there are certain areas where our cognitive abilities have a blind spot, and that's where we become victim of the bias. And I think the data points and artificial intelligence can make it very unbiased, very accurate, and I think the unbiased decisions can be made.
Okay.
Now, when we use artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
uh, candidates can be ranked based on the content and relevance. It has nothing to do with where do they come from, or which college they have gone, or which city they were born.
Hmm.
In simple word, in our community and the community I represent, we call it as I hi, right? So we thought let's create some buzzword because that's what millennials like or the Gen Zs like. So we said I hi, which is AI space HI, artificial intelligence with human intelligence. And that is what we preach in our community, in our ecosystem, which means you know, artificial intelligence will reduce the unconscious bias, but they will not guarantee a solution because, like we said, algorithms were also fed in by humans. But I think the most important aspect which any organization has to consider is that what is the suitability and what kind of cultural fitment you are looking at, because artificial intelligence will filter based on the criterion that you create as an employer. So I think once we understand that, it's very easy. And the last part of your question, that how it can enhance the diversity.
Mhm.
Some of the tools today we use can do a very, very targeted search and campaign to a specific community that we want to attract.
Mhm.
Now, it's like contradicting the first part of the statement that, hey, we also have access to a specific community, but at the same time, we don't want to be biased. But what we are talking about here is that the the offering of the artificial intelligence gives us the opportunity not to be biased when we are hiring, but also gives us the opportunity to hire people, the kind of people we like, which is
Okay.
again in line with the cultural fitment of the society or the organization.
Okay. So Atirek, I have a personal question for you. So if given all the technology, all the AI, all the ML which you have at your disposal, which single most problem in the recruitment space would you like to solve? Because that will give you a 10x ROI, or for companies it can give you 10x to 100x ROI.
Yeah, it's a technical but a very very powerful question. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me think and try to analyze. Okay,
Okay.
statistically, if we talk, Sarbajit,
Mm-hmm.
there are two strategies which are very common in recruitment industry. It's very simple. One is an outbound recruitment strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is an inbound recruitment strategy. The difference is that in outbound, the recruiter chase the candidate and try to convince them to come and apply with us. While in inbound recruitment, you are present at the right place at the right time, and the candidate gets inspired. They get sold on the roles that you have, and then they go and apply with us. Factually and statistically speaking, the outbound recruitment, any recruiter who's practicing that, 70 to 80% of their time is only and heavily invested in calling the candidate and trying to reach the candidate on the first time. And even if you do the inbound recruitment, at least 40% of your time is only trying to connect with the right candidate. So if you say, what's the top uh, advancement, and say, what's the top addition artificial intelligence can bring for us, is that if it can solve the sourcing problem, because that's where the engines start, and that's what takes maximum time of a recruiter. So and it's not very difficult, because even if a recruiter specialize, trust me, when they go and search it on different job boards or social platform, their boolean string search doesn't change every day, right? More or less they have the same kind of category experience they find. How difficult it is for an artificially intelligent tool to look at the job description, pick up the content, and do the Boolean search, find the candidate, use NLP to really break down and read the content, rank the CV, and bring it back to the recruiter. And the recruiter picks one out of 100 or one out of 1,000, which based on the scale, and then does the high value job. And like I said, one of the high value job is emotionally connecting with the candidate, trying to find the hidden gems which is beyond the resume and the content. So if I have to say, hey, which is the focus area for next 12 months for you around artificial intelligence, which bigger ticket problem you want to solve, I would say, why not sourcing?
So that okay. So that is the exact thing which we have solved as of now. And we have an algorithm which is known as Insta Match, as you told. It does a very similar thing as you told, like getting the CVs out, finding them, then also comparing with the company. Okay, so what kind of company, what kind of people do they hire in the recent 10 years, 5 years down the line, and then suggesting people who can be very relevant for them, recommending. So that is how we like the InstaHab platform works. So yes, I think this should be fine tuned. This will be fine tuned, and there are a lot of things coming in. As you said, the recruiter time is best optimized when he or she does the candidate experience and the human connector. That is one thing which we all agree to. So talking about candidate experience, so how do you think like say intelligence or machine learning can enhance the experience for a candidate in the future, like by meaning future I mean like 4 or 5 years down the line? So how do you think the experience will be enhanced using tech? You're on mute actually, Hasri. Yeah.
Yeah, see, experience is a combination of multiple touch points a candidate has. Right?
Yes.
Now, if I have to define talent acquisition, right, it
Mhm.
is more of science and less of mathematics, right? It
Yes.
starts with talent attraction, then you have talent evaluation, then you have recruitment, then you have pre-connect, then you have onboarding, and then you have the actual onboarding of the candidate.
Mm-hmm.
What we expect and what we definitely envision in future, and possibly the future has almost arrived, is that a high tech and a high touch approach. Okay, again, I'll repeat, it's a high tech and a high touch approach is going to be the future of candidate experience. Now, if we look at the target audience today, when we are looking at hiring people, we are hiring a lot of people who were born after 2000, right? We are talking about the Gen Zs, and possibly more than 50% of our workforce is millennials today, right?
Mm-hmm.
All they want is a smartphone and a touch screen, and they want the entire recruitment process to happen using just a smartphone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, when we say high tech and high touch, it means we use technology to ensure that everything end to end, starting from the job application till the onboarding, can be done using their smartphone. So where we bring the high tech. Now, when it comes to high touch, right? I'm sure people are getting information, but lot of candidates, if you connect, at least 50% of them, they'll say, right? You go to LinkedIn and read. 50% of the candidates say, hey, I applied for a job and I never heard back from the recruitment team. We have seen jokes around it, right?
Yes, yes.
Right from right.
Yeah.
Prince Charles became King Charles, and his pictures you can see, right? The means that he applied for a job when he was a prince, and then by the time he became king,
Yeah.
he's reached the different age groups. So I think using AI, this will allow the employer to better discover and be very precise in initial matchmaking. That's very important. So we try to find the right match. Okay.
Okay.
Now, having more time to get to the heart of the person, I think this is something that you will never hear in a recruitment conclave, right? Getting to the heart of the person. But we strongly believe it's important because only when you go back and understand why, and what's the reason for them to apply for a job, okay, you will
Mm-hmm.
never rapport with the candidate, and that's what we think is going to be important. So when we say high touch, this is where we are bringing the experience of the candidate, that has to be seamless. Okay. Today, because of the methods, the old recruiting methods, a lot of recruiters are time constrained because of the heavy workloads they have. With AI, we can think about candidate based on the attitude, based on behavior and belief. Now, when you assess a person based on attitude, behavior, and belief, we call it as psychographics, right? So a person's psychographics is what we can consider because we have the time and the tools and amenities and resources.
Okay.
Uh, when we use artificial intelligence to frame the right recruitment process, it
Mm-hmm.
almost guarantees a transparent recruiting process, right? Just look at a candidate applied for a job. He's literally trying to connect with the recruiter for finding the status of his applicant. But we give the power back to the candidate. What's the epicenter of our recruitment process is the candidate, and that's the experience. So a recruiter can just go through his mobile app and check about what's happening with his candidature. Is he still at a screening stage? Has he reached the technical assessment? How did the technical assessment go? Is he going to take a second technical assessment? Is there a coding challenge? Even if it's a coding challenge, he doesn't have to download another app and go about it. So I think when it talks about envisioning a AI enhanced process which is based on candidate experience, again, the two very powerful words that I'll use is a high tech and a high touch, which is completely around the epicenter, and the epicenter for us is going to be the candidate.
Okay, great. So, like, then we might ask, like, what do you think about the opportunities and challenges which AI and automation will present in talent acquisition? Opportunities we have discussed a lot. What are the opportunities? What are the challenges do you think AI and automation will bring in?
Yeah, I think we often ignore the other side of the table, right? Okay. Uh, Challenges, I can tell you on a lighter note that today the candidates are so smart that they look at a job description that we sent, okay, and then go to a platform like a chat GPT and say, Can you make a perfect resume based on the content of the job description? And what is prepared is flawless. So that can bypass any AI system because all the key search word, everything is present. But that's where we bring in the human intelligence and our intelligence of the recruiters. But uh, let's think for a minute. Artificial intelligence as a Formula One car or a supersonic car, right? That can run really, really fast. But what we need to consider here is that what is required to ensure the car runs really fast, and how do we ensure that we accomplish what we want to, right? So first thing which we need to go really fast in a supersonic or a Formula One car is the spotless track, okay, because that's required for you to really accelerate. But the most importantly, what we need is a skill and a skilled person driving the automobile. That skill is what we bring in as the human element outside artificial intelligence. Now, the opportunity we have is that hey, we can put the right framework to ensure that the right amount of artificial intelligence is used, okay, to ensure that we are able to accomplish what we want to. Now, look at this way, right? Uh, when we look at the overall application process itself, right? The challenges today the companies are facing that if I go on a LinkedIn and I don't find an application where I can just click and apply, I don't want to even pursue that application, right? So it's fastest application first. That's how the world has transformed. So the challenges we have is that the companies who are not adopting to the right tools and the right technologies, even though they have a very strong EVP, the employee value proposition, they have challenges in getting the right applicants. Now, the second challenge you have is that even though you have a lot of application, who is going to review them and find the right applicant for your job, right? So I think when we look at the opportunities and challenges which AI and automation can present to talent acquisition, right? So opportunity obviously is that we are very shallow when it comes to identifying the cognitive ability of a person, right? We are still very centric towards the hard skill. It's easy to identify Java with maybe a ERP or a database background. It's very easy to look at a .NET. So the hard skills can be identified by multiple platforms, but what about the social profiling of the candidate? So I think two areas where can be an opportunity and a challenge is that today we don't have very advanced tools to look at the cognitive ability of a candidate, which I personally believe is very important in the long run, because people take a job which is not suitable and we are not able to assess the right fitment of a job because we only looked at a hard skill versus a hard skill. In
Exactly.
terms of in terms of challenges, like I said, uh, particularly in our country, the data is not very consistent. Even if you go to social profiling, the
Hmm.
inconsistency of data and some of the options we have, that makes it very challenging for us to even do a social profiling of the candidate. So I think while we are there, but yeah, it requires a lot of work. There are a lot of opportunities we have where we can utilize that and make a lot of functions, not only talent acquisition. Look at HR, right? Today we can do predictive analysis using artificial intelligence and tell us about the set of individuals that we predict to leave us in next 6 to 12 months. So I think there are more opportunities outside recruitment as well, and I think we are evolving and we shall evolve.
Great. Great points, Atirek. And we have a lot of like we have a lot of young folks who are listening to this, who are maybe 1 2 years down the line into the TA field. I think that this kind of discussions and this kind of insights can help them a lot to broaden their horizon. So let me come to the last question which we have prepared for you, and then we will go to the audience Q&A. So the last question which we have prepared is: can you share some key insights on the importance of human touch in a automated recruiting process? We have talked about human touch in the candidate experience side of it. Any other aspects which you want to mention that has got significant upside, like the human touch getting significant upside in a very automated kind of a technology enabled process?
Yeah, so we call this as balance of technology and human touch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which means that the overall recruitment process, if you everybody who's listening understands that
Mm-hmm.
it's a devoid of emotion, right?
Okay.
Most of the time it's a knee jerk response, right? Somebody is
Yeah.
leaving a company, you want to backfill. So that's what recruitment is. It does not contain a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But what we should remember is that we are not employing machines, but we are hiring human beings, right?
Exactly.
And they will always prefer to be heard than conversing on an IVR or
On
responding
what?
to
Yeah.
all through a chatbot and all,
Yeah.
right? So it is important for each of the young talent to understand. And this was a question asked even during one of our internal conferences that, hey, is AI going to just remove the recruiters? Are we going to lose our job? What's going to be a significant impact if we automate 100%? So I want to give a very clear message to youngsters, especially people who are starting their career in people function like talent acquisition, that artificial intelligence or a chatbot or a machine learning, these tools were designed to assist human beings. They were never meant to replace them, especially in the recruitment function. Okay, it is the perfect blend, and again, the buzzword is perfect blend of artificial intelligence capabilities and human touch that will ensure an effective recruiting program.
Okay.
These technologies are excellent. Honestly, they are superior technologies, right? And they can handle all the repetitive tasks, right? However, artificial intelligence or the tool still lacks the ability to understand human emotion, right? It lacks the capabilities to understand body language,
Mm-hmm.
and also the context in which you're hiring. And these are very, very important decisions that you have to make before you hire the right resource. So today the candidate experience is heavily digitized, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at background verification, they can upload CVs, I'm sorry, the documents using their mobile. They can fill a information form and give it to the recruiter without coming, to the office. So everything is heavily digitized, but applicants still prefer to interact with a human recruiter, right? That's a general tendency, right? And as a recruiter provides a personal touch, that's something that is beyond the capability of a machine. So while we believe that there is a lot of work which is done by artificial intelligence, now the recruiter is free and has more bandwidth, okay, to comprehend the intricacies of skill, right,
Mm-hmm.
the cultural fitment of the candidate. And these are the very, very important aspects of hiring the people right. It's an interesting saying. They say that if you hire in haste, you can regret in peace, right? So if you hire in haste, you can regret in peace, which means, yeah, just don't rely heavily on the tools and bypass every human touch, because once you hire, when you are at peace, you will regret a lot. So I think it's going to be very important for the recruiters to believe that there are aspects that machine will never be able to do, right? Even though they can test the cognitive abilities, but the body language is something that we will still need a recruiter to identify. The cultural fitment is going to be an important, I would say, aspect of recruitment, and we heavily invest in finding the candidate for the right cultural fit.
Great. So, with with this, we come to the end of the questions which we have prepared for you. Now it's time for the audience Q and A. All the folks who are listening live, you can also send your questions. If we have time, we will definitely ask in this session, or Atirek can send you the answers through us. So, the first question which we have from the audience, Aman Gupta. He asked that how has the use of AI tools affected the role of a recruiter? What skills do you think are necessary for future recruiters?
Yeah, I think a great question again.
Hmm.
But let me tell you, Aman, okay, this is also the most popular question that we answer in any HR conclave. Okay, I think we have established that AI could be your closest ally,
Mm-hmm.
which completes the repeated task on your behalf, such as scheduling, calling, job posting, etc., while you can focus on high value recruiting activities. The reason we call it as high value recruiting activities because this requires a lot of time and patience. One of them would be having a meaningful conversation with an ACE candidate. So you found the top 10 candidates. How do you really converse? And that's just really important for a candidate to create an impression about your organization. It also allows recruiter to use the power of data to make very informed and better choices. I think AI for recruitment holds the potential to revolutionize the entire hiring landscape by increasing efficiency, accuracy, and the overall effectiveness in identifying and attracting the right talent.
Okay.
Part B of your question, if I remember, is that what skill of the recruiter should or must possess
Mm-hmm.
today or in the future? I think I'll give you four bullet points of aspects that we look forward to in our team
Mm-hmm.
members or recruiters. One is going to be the technical aptitude.
Okay.
And it's very important because we can create a world-class ecosystem snapped on with artificial intelligence. But if you don't have the technical aptitude, you will never be able to make constructive decisions out of the tools that we offer. So technical aptitude is one. Second would be your networking and relationship building. That requires no explanation. But today, the brand that you carry is based on how big is your network,
Mm-hmm.
and that networking skill will become very important for each of the recruiters. Third, I think, is going to be the cultural awareness, which means you cannot be a recruiter, but you cannot be isolated from your organization. So, how much you know about your company is where you can very confidently have elevated conversation with your candidate, and that will get you a very good throughput. And I think fourth quality, if I have to summarize, Aman, and for the audience, is going to be data literacy. So how effectively you can make meaningful conversation and decision based on all the data points that we will be making available for each of the recruiters.
Okay. So uh, I have the second question from Prakash. We have a lot of folks who are from startups or who are building the startup founders who are listening to this. So this question goes to them. What advice do you think for smaller businesses, startups looking to integrate AI into their recruitment process? What is your advice on this? Who do not hire in a huge set but in smaller numbers?
Wow. Okay. So uh, the tricky part is that advice is like a boomerang. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it always comes back. So I ensure to make sure that I throw it wisely. Okay, and the best advice is always the kind that helps you make progress and not the advice that keeps you get stuck in a situation.
Mm-hmm.
For a smaller business, it's very important to understand what's the business model and what's the appetite. For example, if the smaller business has appetite to scale, which means they are today 200 and they want to go to 1,000 headcount. Their revenue is 5 million, they want to go to a 15 million kind of a revenue. So if the appetite to scale is high, it makes perfect sense to adopt new technology, artificial intelligence. But my sincere advice is that make it incremental. What it means is don't invest heavily on a lot of tools when you don't know how the fundamental law works. So the best advice is that first create a very robust and an effective recruiting process. And once you see the benefits of it, is that's where you snap an artificial intelligence platform or
Mm-hmm.
use artificial intelligence on top of it.
Okay.
AI can be highly useful. I think we have established that, especially at the very beginning of the candidate search, where the applicant pool is large and many aren't viable. So that can solve one of the biggest problem you have. The second problem it can solve is that you might not need a lot of people to make calls, right? Bring in the resume, collect the documents, schedule a calendar invite on Google. All these repeated work can be done by smart artificial intelligence too. So I think if you think that you are going scale and you want to cut down on a lot of manpower and you want to bring a lot of candidate experience, yes, you need to really invest in the tool. But I can tell you, be aware that irrespective of all the AI integration, you
Hmm.
will still need smart human recruiters because they are going to be your brand ambassadors who will fetch the best talent for you.
Okay, so I have one question from our YouTube stream. Ashish Yadav asked how AI-based candidate calling screening is helping TA functions. I think a lot of it you have answered, like how candidate calling and screening is helping TA functions, like AI-based candidate screening. We have talked about. Anything else you want to add to this for Ashish's question? Like,
Yeah, I think the first part, Ashish, if I got your name right, is that uh, see today every organization has millions of options to choose,
mm-hmm,
right? And humanly not possible for us to hear everyone's story and understand what their capabilities are. So I think most important aspect of artificial intelligence is to ensure that when there's a large pool of people, okay, it might not do 100% accurate job, but it can still tell you more or less based on the work they have done, the experiences they have, who looks to be a possible match. Now that gives you an opportunity instead of calling 100 people and spending 1 or 2 minutes each just trying to ask random question, talk and have quality conversation with 10 people, right? Understand if they culturally fit your organization, they have really done the work. So I think uh, what we can do is unlimited, right? For example, you get a call and your answer to the recruiter is I'm not interested, right? But the recruiter might have attempted and called you 3 times to get that answer. With the IVR calling, you get a message. All you have to do is, if you're interested, press one. If you're not interested, press two. The job is done. Now, if a recruiter does that job, he might take 1 day to call 100 people and connect them on the second, third attempt. While an IVR calling is not, manpower, right? It's a system automated, but we can get first sense of it whether you're even interested or not. So that's one of the benefits you can look at. Second is a lot of people like privacy. Not everybody is open to get a call. Trust me, I call millennials and Gen Zs. They get surprised when I call. They say, "Why can't you send me a message?" And that's a behavior of the new gen. So I personally believe for the new gen, you calling and asking is not best model, and so we respect the privacy, and I think it's the best interest that even while you're traveling you get an IVR or a call or a message, okay, you can send the first response whether you're interested or not, and that can save your time more than the recruiter's time, and we can always get back to each other in case if there's something promising.
great. Lovely answer, Ashish. I think you have got the answer in huge detail. Atirek has explained this. So I come to the next question from Ritu Gupta. She asked, like, how can AI and automation contribute to effective onboarding and talent management post recruitment? This is the post recruitment she's talking about, the post recruitment process.
Okay. So it's funny the way it is said that employers are at their happiest on Mondays and employees are their happiest on Fridays.
Yeah,
Okay, so we know how it works, right? Okay,
yeah,
again, there is no wax on and wax off method to make everything hunky dory and perfect.
yeah.
However, okay, and I missed the name of the person who asked this question, but
Ritu, I think.
Ritu,
Ritu.
right? Right. So Ritu, you'll be surprised to know that more than 25%
Mhm.
of the freshly hired employees leave the organization within the first 45 days. So
Okay.
25% of the freshly hired people leave in first 45 days. We know the reason why they leave, right? Not properly engaged, nobody's talking to them, they don't have queries answered. So that is where artificial intelligence automation comes to aid. Okay, so we can now, right, automate some of the question answers, like like chatbot. Somebody asks, right, how is it useful? It's not only useful while recruiting, it's also useful after we have shortlisted, because you are serving notice period, you want to know, hey, my notice period is 60 days, but can I join in 45 days, right? For this question you don't need intelligence, you just need a yes no answer, right? You might say, hey, I have changed the date of joining, can you send me another offer letter with a revised joining date? Does not require any intelligence, and that's where IVR and bots help you to get the answer, and the system sends you these triggers. So particularly after we shortlist somebody, right, we can automate some of the experiences which comes more of you getting answer from anybody, right, and the right answer. Now, today with artificial intelligence, what we can measure is something remarkable. One is employee engagement, and also we can measure job satisfaction. Some of you will be surprised to know that how we can do it today using artificial intelligence, right? There are mood meters. There are enough and more questions getting asked periodically to a newly joined candidate, freshly hired candidate, which can do predictive analysis to say, hey, this person looks satisfied in the job. He believes he has got the right job, right? I think this is the power of artificial intelligence today and automation, that we can successfully, to a, at least I can say 70, 80% accurate data, which can help us understand the job satisfaction, the employee engagement, and that's thereby it's elevating the tenure and satisfaction. Uh, Again, the funny part is we live in a world of Tinder, right, and other
Yeah.
thousands of dating apps, right, and that helps us find a true match for from more than 5 billion possibilities.
Yeah.
I think we can consider artificial intelligence today helping us find the most suitable match in the same way. Uh, it is also true that employers are more likely to stay long term with the company if the onboarding process is very well organized and instructed. So we organize it very well, but we don't tell the new joiner what's going to happen in the next 30, 60 and days plan. So I think artificial intelligence can enable all these tasks, separate the task which can be done by the machine, can separate the task which requires a real HR person to call you and give you ideas. But I think overall engagement has elevated tremendously with the use of artificial intelligence.
Great. With that, I come to the last question, Atirek, from Sonali Singla. She asked that, can you share an instance where AI played a significant role in hiring a candidate for a critical role? Any instance you want to share on that?
Okay. Honestly, I will not be doing a justice if I
Okay.
say an instance, because
There are
our,
multiple.
our stories are incredible,
Okay.
honestly, right? But an instance might not justify the incredible journey that we have had in many years. But rather than giving you one instance, I'll tell you how we have transformed, right, the recruiting process and how accurately we are hiring, right? You can surely tell that with the use of AI-based sourcing platforms, right, we have access to billions of profiles, right? But along with these profiles, we also have what we call as talent insight. What is the analytical insight? What it
Exactly.
really means is, if I find one candidate who's good match, you can replicate the kind of profiles of similar nature, experience, and also kind of the, almost matching the candidates, right?
Yes.
In our organization, we can talk about that for each of the niche technology or domain that we hire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we scout the ace candidate with a smart search option. So we have adopted a AI based, one of the largest AI based sourcing platform, which has access to almost a 1 billion profiles. Okay, and today we can do it by just going to the tool and click on a smart search. And with the job description, it can just get me the thousands of profile that's relevant. Imagine this task getting done 5 years ago. You have to individually go on each of the websites, write the
Mm-hmm.
Boolean string search, find the resume, park them, open one by one, and then try to find. So I think one success story can be anything that we have had recently, starting from verticals like research, analytics, technology, or digital innovation. For each of the critical roles, we can tell you that we use artificial intelligence tools to source. We use artificial intelligence clubbed with NLP to rank the resume. And then we use automation and platform to do a thorough test of their competency.
Okay.
And then with all these intelligence, so we are talking about a heat map of a candidate uh,
Mm-hmm.
who's been doing 5 different things, and we know he's strong in which area. And with all that, we bring in the intelligence of a recruiter to find the best match. So I might not give you a particular example. What person we hired? It could be somebody we have hired as a data scientist of late. It could be a very international role where we have hired one of the infrastructure head in Bulgaria. It could be somebody whom we have hired as a Java architect in US. So examples are too many, but I think the basis of our recruitment is very high on technology and very high based on the smart tools that we use.
Okay, great, great insights, Atirek. So with that, we come to the end of the question. I have a last question. So the whole discussion we have discussed about recruitment and the other side. So let's go on to the other side of the table and see your thoughts as a HR leader, as a TA leader who has led very large companies and their talent functions. Uh, any tips for candidates or job seekers who are looking to get to their dream job, or like any techniques or tips for them? So anything from your side for the candidate or for the job seeker?
How much time I have to answer this question, Javaji?
Okay, I can give you like 5 6 minutes max.
Okay. So let me tell a story, and then I can bring it
Yeah,
back
sure.
to what is relevant, right?
Yeah.
Uh, there are two people who are very poor. They don't have a living to make, but every morning they used to go to a temple, pray, go to a church, whatever their belief was, and then they'll go back to work and they'll never find work. Okay, and one day, one of these poor men won a lottery. Okay,
Mhm.
the other person went back to the temple or the church to complain to God and said, hey, I have been more regular than him. In fact, he missed a couple of days coming to the place, but I always came, I always prayed, and he won the lottery, right? And the God replied, saying that he at least bought the lottery ticket, right? Okay. Now, it might sound funny, but the basic story is that you need to first be available for anybody to really scout you. If
Mm.
you are not available on the right platform, the right forums, right, the right social network, nobody is going to today, right? The post and the pray had its day, right? No longer people are going to just post a job and wait for somebody to be around, right? If you want to be hunted as a new talent or somebody who's pursuing a final year of engineering or somebody who has just finished their graduation, and if you think that you're not placed using your campus or university, the first thing you need to do is, like I said, for a recruiter, the social skill and the networking skill is important. So is for you. So, how strong is your social profile, right? If today you are not on LinkedIn, technically a recruiter will not even validate your resume because nobody is going to go to a job board and find you. They will always authenticate your profile using any other platform. So, first advice is be available. Okay. Uh, Again, it's a very simple, but we see thousands of resumes today, right? And the moment we see a fresher or somebody with 2 3 years of experience with 3 pages of resume, we know that this person is not the right fit for us. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
My sincere advice to all the youngsters who are seeking job: make 1 page resume, and as you grow your experience enhance. I'll tell you the basic rule: for every 10 years of work experience, you can have 1 page. So if you are anybody with less than 10 years of experience, 1 page should suffice. Okay? Don't make an old dated word resumes. Nobody's looking at it. And I'll tell you a technical flaw, right? Don't make a picture image because some of the AI tools can bypass the image as image and will not be able to do the resume parsing. You might miss the opportunity to get to the right place. So there are so many website that offers you free resumes content, so do that. Okay, if you have anybody or somebody with less than 5 years 10 years experience, 1 page of resume is enough. Use the
Mhm.
latest format, and even if you don't have experience, talk a lot about your aptitude and attitude, right? Today everybody is interested to know what you are capable of, and when you don't have experience, it's even more powerful message for you to show what's your capability because you don't have work experience. So for fresher, it is important. For people who have experience and worked in 2 3 organization, I
Mhm.
think more than job content, what we are interested to see is the accomplishments that you had. Were you in the top five? Were you in the top 5%? Were you the top 1%? So people who have experience cite more of your accomplishment. People who have less experience cite more of your aptitude. Make it look nice. There are unlimited apps which can make very customizable one pages resume. Okay. Uh, your communication is going to be the first impression that you create. So I think it is something that you can improve, but effective communication is going to be a key assessment score based on which people are getting hired. And I think there is no substitute to hard work. So
Yeah.
if you're not sincere about it, nobody has real time to pursue your CV or your profile.
Okay. Great insights, I think, for the candidates and the job seekers who are looking out, and also for the recruiters and the TA heads who are also listening to us. So, with that, we come to the end of the session. And Atirek, thank you so much for taking time out for the entire roundtable from your busy schedule. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Abhijit, and good luck to everybody who has been on call. I know it's Thursday and it's difficult for people to skip the office and spend 60 minutes on engaging with the industry, but I really enjoyed every minute of it. So thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Joshi. Thanks, Abhijit. And anybody has any question, like I said, the power of networking. So feel free to network with us, and I'm sure we will cross our path very soon, and we'll see you somewhere or the other in either the company or maybe any of these job events.
Sure. Great. Great, Atirek. Lovely to